Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to DeLisa's Life Dance. Wonderful Wednesday, trying to keep up a wonderful spirit in the spirit of DeLisa's Life Dance, which is today is challenging. It's a week of challenges. I have several things that I want to talk about. Today is where I really talk about the body. And I would like to share 3 African American pioneers and innovators, educators, and lifesavers that are in our American history that I'm not sure if the young people or the old people or all people know about. So I want to share that. This week on August 5th, we lost a very wonderful woman, Toni Morrison, an American writer, a novelist, and she went to my alma mater, the Howard University, and I am going to read excerpts of her life out of this book. Please just Google it, but it's DeLisa. I like books, so here we go. This is the book, Extraordinary People, Extraordinary African Americans, and there are a lot, but you can see this book. It's a book I bought for my children many moons ago that I've read to them over the years, and I thought, well, I need to share with you. So this is Toni Morrison, if you have never seen her. And this book was written, she was born in 1931. She passed away August 5th. And she, an American writer that had a love for reading. She was born in Lorain, Ohio, and Ohio is on the mind this week as well. So she loved to read. She loved to read American novels and Russian novels, and she was encouraged by her family. Morris finished high school and went to get her Bachelor of Arts from the Howard University in Washington, D.C. in 1953. She went on to Cornell University in 2 years after that, and she was an architect. She met her husband, Harold Moritas, an architecture student from Jamaica. So there is a lot on her, but she established some of the most well-known novels of hers were The Bluest Eye, Sula, Song of Solomon, which won the National Book Critics Circle Award, Tar Baby, that reflect the beauty and the pain of the African American experience. Her fifth novel, Beloved, won a Pulitzer Prize in 1988. And so you need to read more about her. She became the first African American woman to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. So her death, we didn't really, at least I didn't hear a whole lot about her passing. She did pass. I did read at Montefiore Hospital, I believe, in New York City. And so this is someone that was an extraordinary novelist, American writer, and I think all of us need to know her name, no matter what color. And also because we're all Americans. Yes, we are. And I want to talk a little bit about Charles Richard Drew. Charles Richard Drew was born and raised in Washington, D.C. He attended Amherst College and was an All-American football player. Here's a photograph of Charles Drew. And at Howard, there was a dorm named Drew Hall after Charles Drew. And his contribution to the world was that he applied and discovered. He went to McGill University Medical School in Montreal, Canada, where he was accepted as a black man to go to school there. And he was interested in the study of blood and how to preserve it. We have A, B, AB, or O blood. Should an injured person need blood, it is important that he receives his own type and match that is compatible. In the 30s, many people died because of not having the right blood match. Drew became fascinated with the process and problem of preserving blood. After he graduated from McGill University, he went to New York at a graduate study at Columbia Medical School. He worked as a surgical resident at Presbyterian Hospital. While there, he performed numerous experiments on physical, chemical, and biological changes that make blood unusable for transfusions. He learned that while whole blood could not be stored longer than 1 week, blood plasma, the liquid portion of blood, without cells, would keep much longer. And all this was going on during Nazi Europe and during that time, and different hospitals were using different standards and collecting and processing blood, and as a result, plasma reached England, and that the plasma that reached England was contaminated and it had to be thrown out. It was then that Drew received a cablegram from Dr. John Beatty, head of the shock treatment transfusion of the Royal Air Forces of England. His emergency message to Drew to ship 10,000 pints of plasma to him within a month. It seemed like an impossible task, but Drew did it. Soon afterward, he became medical supervisor for Blood for Britain program and standardized procedures for collecting, processing, storing, and shipping plasma. Due to the success of the program, Drew was appointed Red Cross director nationwide on a nationwide project to collect blood for the U.S. military. The project was going well until the Red Cross decided that it did not want any colored blood. Blood is red. However, people had a limiting belief back then. It was a racist policy that made no sense from a scientific or medical point of view. A Chicago defender said, "No Negro blood accepted, but when the terrible Blitz of London killed and wounded thousands, it was an American Negro, black, who organized and sent U.S. blood overseas. No Negro black blood accepted, but when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and maimed hundreds of American soldiers and sailors, it was the blood collected by a black surgeon that saved their lives." That was the protest, and because of this kind of protest, the military agreed to accept AK black colored blood. But they insisted for it to be separate than for the white people. To Drew, this directive was unacceptable, and he resigned from the blood program. On April 1st, 1950, Drew was killed in an automobile accident while on his way to a medical conference. Only a year earlier, he had been appointed surgical consultant for the U.S. Army European Theater of Operations. The Army, which had not wanted to accept his blood, had at least recognized his value of his advice. So that's Charles Drew, 1904 to 1950. I have one more extraordinary African-American hero, pioneer, and this is my favorite. Well, my own little personal favorite because of Howard University and the connection there. Daniel Hale Williams, surgeon. And this is his photo from this book. 1858 to 1931. And the heart transplant is what he has gone down in history for. If you don't know, he was the first to have a successful heart transplant, open heart operation. and the surgeon that performed it was Dr. Daniel Hale Williams. The patient, a man named James Cornish, who had been stabbed in the heart and left for dead. He was brought to Chicago's Providence Hospital, where, without the aid of penicillin, antibiotics, x-rays, Williams performed many to believe was a miracle. He actually sewed up the torn heart and saved the patient's life. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams was from Pennsylvania. He was born in 1858. He went to work as a shoemaker. During those years, he worked various jobs. He went to Wisconsin and was an apprentice of Dr. Henry Palmer, who helped him attend Chicago Medical College. He graduated in only 3 years. Williams set up his practice in Chicago and joined the surgical staff on the South Side Dispensary. That was in 1889. He was on Illinois Board of Health and concerned about African Americans. He developed Providence Hospital and Training Association in 1891. It provided health care for all patients and well training for African American physicians and nurses. It was here in Providence Hospital where Williams sewed up Cornish's heart. It made the news around the world. Williams became chief surgeon at Freedman's Hospital in Washington, D.C. That was on Howard University's connection there. During the Spanish-American War in 1898, Williams evaluated and selected surgeons for military service. After the war, he resumed his research and lectured on the need for expanded medical facilities for African Americans, and he was finally retired in 1926. He helped to establish at least 40 hospitals serving primarily African Americans, physicians, scientists, and educators. William contributed enormously to development of surgical theory and practice, and greatly expanded medical care and career opportunities for African Americans. That was in 1858. So this is just some 3 out of a myriad of African American extraordinary people out of my book here, and it's just with a heavy heart that I come and I just try to share that we're Americans here, and I'm speechless. I just want to share with you that if you don't know these names, please reach out, find heroes. You know, these 3, Toni Morrison, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, Charles Drew, it is on their foundation that we're here. They did extraordinary things, and even still, you know, people were hating on them. But we have to know that these things were done, and it was important. And so I just had to read today. It's about the body. And if I'm stumbling and fumbling, it's because I'm very passionate about our United States of America. Being a veteran of the U.S. Air Force Nurse Corps, I just feel like I need to do a little bit of what I do here on DeLisa's Life Dance. And, you know, if you liked anything I shared with you, please leave me a comment. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what college you went to. Let me know if you know who Toni Morrison or Daniel Hale Williams, Charles Drew. When I was in nursing school, there's always something, you know, they call code blue. Well, they never called it code blue. They always called it Dr. Dan. And that was, you know, it just, these people, these ancestors of mine, they resonate with me always. And so that's it. Like, hit, subscribe, share. Talk to you later. Ciao, ciao.